We are live. What's up, YouTube? I am Wayne Pelletier, Resonant Pixel Company, back again for another episode of the Resonant Pixel Show. I'm super excited about it. We got some stuff to cover today. All my space heads, my Squarespace out there. There's been some news this week, some updates, probably some upset. I think we're going to be fine. I wouldn't sweat it too much. I just have a couple of ideas and updates on that. First, thumbnail moment. I don't even know what I'm doing with the thumbnail moment thing right now. I'm not even making thumbnails, but I want to make it a habit. Maybe I'll screen capture those and use them on future episodes, or go back and add an opening card or something. I don't know. Seems like an area of opportunity. Shall be addressed. All right. Big news on the font update front for Squarespace. And this one's interesting. I know there's some people upset. I know it's a bunch of make work having to go back and make some updates to old websites. But essentially what's happened is Squarespace has sunset 300 or so fonts. And I think they're from the old Adobe type library. And if you set up a site after Jan 1, you're not even seeing them. If you set up, I think it's a trial. Right now, if you're on trial, you probably can see them if you're on a longer trial. Like in the Circle community, we get 6 months. The fonts should already be unavailable for new and current websites. New sites and trials. But old sites, they're still going to be there. And don't sweat, nothing breaks. Yes, as of February 17th, the fonts will be unavailable for all websites when you go and try to change the font. But if a site is using those fonts, they will still be available, viewable on the website for the entirety of this calendar year, 2025. So that's pretty good. At least it's not some kind of crazy, emergency fire drill. My plan is to make contact with people who I think, especially if they're on older System 7, older clients and websites that haven't been touched in a while. I haven't talked to them in a while. I'm going to reach out and let them know about, what's going on. Be proactive, and what a cool opportunity to reach out to people I probably haven't spoken to in a while. So I'm actually looking forward to that part of it. I think that's going to be kind of cool. And listen, when you run a business that is dependent on sales, any opportunity you have to reach out and make meaningful, substantial contact with someone whom you've worked with in the past is an opportunity. Not so much to sell, but to just touch base. You liked each other at some point. You did business together. Seems like a natural opportunity to make contact there and to try and re-engage maybe some relationships that aren't that engaged anymore. That Adobe font thing, I couldn't believe how many fonts were in there. Nobody offers that many fonts. And it seemed too good to be true for a long time, especially considering how much Adobe fonts, Adobe Typekit / fonts costs. It's Adobe Creative Cloud is very expensive. And it used to be available, what was Typekit, and then Adobe Typekit was an independent product for quite a while after Adobe had purchased, the product, the Typekit product. And it was pretty expensive as well. So when I first became a Squarespace designer 10 or 13 years ago, I couldn't believe all those fonts were in there. And now it makes sense that they're sunsetting. I'm sure there have been changes to the Adobe API that they're like, this probably isn't worth it. And to be honest, most of those fonts never got used. What a waste of resources on the back end for them. So I know it's upsetting to lose some really arcane script or serif typeface that was extremely unique. It can still be purchased independently and embedded because you have file upload access, and it's not even difficult to embed your own fonts in a Squarespace website. So it's not like the functionality is going away, period. It's really about deciding, do we want to purchase and install the font ourselves independently, or do we want to find an alternative, maybe something that's free or as like part of the system, because they're pulling in all their Google fonts like everybody. And don't sleep on system fonts. There are a lot of fonts on people's systems that are available now. The naming can be a little funky on that front, but it is entirely possible. And talk about a speed upgrade for your website. Not having to load 0.5 mega fonts, it's pretty awesome. So something to think on. Another piece of news, and there's been some upset over this one too, is a new feature called Squarespace Capitol. When Squarespace launched their Squarespace Payments program last year, it went fine, and I use it. It's great. A payment system, whether it's Stripe, Squarespace Payments, PayPal, Vimeo, whatever, it works well when it's out of sight, not of mind. It's just functioning. Like they either work and you don't hear or see much, or something fails and now you got to deal with something for 40 minutes. So I've never had an issue with Squarespace Payments. I think it's a pretty solid platform. I like it just fine. It's great. But the new Capitol, Squarespace Capitol, which is loans, it's a loan product. I approach loans and borrowing with some caution, certainly from a business perspective. So this is just me personally. It's a pretty creative idea that you don't pay it back in payments systematically for a term, a period of time. You pay it back as a percentage on top of your merchant fees, which is a pretty cool idea. There's a minimum, so if your merchant fees don't meet that, you owe the difference, and they're just going to draft that from your account. Something to be aware of. But if you're using either e-commerce or you're selling services as digital products or subscriptions like I am on the system, then you don't even see it. It just comes out as a higher percentage. So instead of paying 3% or 7% or 9% as your transaction fee, you would pay 13 or 20 or whatever that winds up being based on how much revenue you drive and how much money you borrow. So I think it's a pretty creative solution. I don't know if I would use it. They call it capital investments for a reason. I think that's pretty strategic because I would think, especially if you're shipping physical products, that a capital investment's pretty good idea. I think it's really hard to invest in inventory of any kind, no matter what you sell, or shipping materials. I totally get that. As someone who sells digital products or subscriptions and services, I don't have that issue. My physical inventory costs are pretty much zero, a few apps on my desktop. Now, payroll or dips in business, seasonality, don't love it. Having to pay that out requires enough productivity to make up not just the loan difference, but the growth difference too. There's two gaps to cover if you're borrowing for productivity purposes instead of borrowing for capital investment to create efficiency, customer satisfaction, and actually run the business. So you got like a food truck and you need, materials and product inventory. Yeah, I think that's a solid idea to get you off the ground. Same thing with boxes or t-shirts or selling shoes, whatever. I don't love it for, like I said, staffing, pay myself or pay a team, or that seems like a recipe for a future challenge. And I know Stripe and PayPal have similar products. So this is certainly not unique. I know some people were like, what the hell is Squarespace doing offering this when all I want is a better button on or whatever? Yeah, they have to move a lot of things on a lot of fronts. And oftentimes the business priorities aren't set by the people who are writing code or pushing pixels, right? So who knows how long some of these initiatives take and when they go to market. So I'm not going to throw shade on them for it. I'm just going to say, if it's something that will help you, go for it. If you want to approach it with caution like I am, totally get it. So I'm going to skip to the next segment. Oh, I don't know if you notice this, but my logo's down. It's reverse. Did you see that? Pretty cool, right? So anyway, invested in Ecamm, and I've been playing with it and learning a lot. I hope to get better at it rapidly. For now, I'm probably in higher resolution. I think it's recording locally, and I just put the logo on there to see how it worked. Dragged it and played with it for about a minute and a half right before I got on the live call here. So anyway, I'm not seeing a thing where I get Q&A or if there's anybody watching. I don't think anyone is watching. So, nowhere to go but up. All right, the thumbnail moment at the beginning. Like I said, I'm going to figure out how to use that. I think every single one of these has to have or should have its own thumbnail. I just started updating the titles. I did create a system for the descriptions. I think it's getting better every single episode. This is 5 now? Second week. This is episode 5. So I want to create a bunch of stuff. Open card graphic, end card graphic. I think a few other things I want to do from a accountability standpoint. Maybe I need like an accountability segment. Let's do that. Let's create product graphics for my subscriptions because they're so old. They're literally 5 years old. I got a new client. I'm going to bang out a new Squarespace website this week for them. I'm going to time myself. Pomodoro. I'll report back to let you know if that took more than 5 or 6 hours. That's my goal. It's going to move pretty fast, but it's a super cool local event for like a festival here in the city I live in, and I couldn't be more excited to contribute and help them out and just feel like I'm a part of how that thing comes together. So pretty cool. I also have 5 client updates this week, which is a lot. Looking forward to just rolling up my sleeves, and some of it's easy, like, hey, change this copy or swap out these photos or put these 5 logos in our customer swatch or something in a gallery. It's easy stuff. So I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, I like this idea of having a segment that's like, hey, accountability moment. Ooh, we could be onto a title because, all my titles are awesome. Actually, they're all trash. We both know that. All right, so struggle bus segment. Maybe I need a sound effect for struggle bus. Some sad. I don't have it. All right. I don't have much on the struggle bus front. I feel pretty good this week and this day about a lot of things. I'll tell you, getting paid helps. I will say that I was challenged Monday on a call right after I recorded the Monday episode. And I've taken that to heart. And, when you run a service business, even though the bulk of my income from a revenue standpoint is recurring subscriptions, there are still projects that tack on to it. And there is always the feast and famine cycle. Until I hit 100% recurring revenue and can live on that, yeah, there are a few projects here and there. And I would say that it's not uncommon. Actually, I'm being facetious. Look, everybody that is a designer, no matter what it is you design or build, what industry you support or what platform you work in. There's a feast and famine cycle. There's seasonality depending upon your niche. Maybe there's very specific seasonality. You know, nobody buys lawn care in December in the northern hemisphere. But I will say that it's easy to look forward and deal with the squeaky wheel and hot button issues and whatever other cliche I can throw in there, and focus on the future, focus on the now, and forget about a lot of the people that we've touched base with in the past and even worked with. And there's a lot of opportunity there. Those people knew you, liked you, and trusted you at some point, just like the folks in my work history, my company has supported over the years. I was challenged to reach out to 5 people I haven't talked to or heard from in a long time. So I'm going to do 10 because that's just how I do things sometimes, is make it more difficult than is necessary. I'm going to reach out to 10 people I haven't talked to in a while and say, hey, what's up? FYI, my company's focused on this now. And if you know anybody who might be interested or that could help, shoot me a line. Otherwise, just checking in, and I hope you're doing well. Like, it doesn't even have to be a complicated thing. And I know all this, but it's still so easy to get bogged down in the day-to-day that weeks, months, sometimes years can slip away, and these engagements can gather dust. So why not? She was right when she gave me that advice, and I will take it to heart and rock it. I've already typed up the message. I literally just spewed it out to you in the gist anyway. It's not word for word. I will say that another thing I've made a habit of doing, and I haven't been terribly consistent with it. I do it most days, 3 or 4 days a week. Sometimes I roll up my sleeves and I'm in the zone and I do deep work, and fine, that's got to get done too. But 5 connections and 5 comments, right? My 5 plus 5, that's what I'm calling it. The 5 plus 5 every day. Make 5 LinkedIn connections, period, and leave 5 comments. I don't do this 5 in the second 5 comments. Engagement's critically important because it's the only way you can reach people who don't follow you or know you exist. It's the only way to be seen. So unless you're found in a search, but that is an active user thing. A word is escaping me. From a passive standpoint, if someone's just doom scrolling or reading the comments under a post of someone that they know and like or follow, then they might see your comment or my comment in this case. So 5 comments a day, LinkedIn, Facebook groups, and the Circle community, the Squarespace Circle community. I would like it to be 5 in all 3. But to be honest, sometimes there isn't enough activity, especially in Facebook groups or in the Circle community. If the activity isn't there, it doesn't feel organic enough. So I suppose I could also post instead of commenting. But posting is a different level of effort, so it would be something I'd need to plan for. Anyway, that's the 5 plus 5. 5 LinkedIn connections, 5 comments across those 3 networks. I think in Slack, it's easier. Probably comment 5 times in literally like 8 Slack groups every single day. So that's not difficult. It's also low touch. Like, it's not hyper specific oftentimes. Like, it's specific, but not about the category. Oftentimes it's whatever channel you're in. So if they're talking about parenting or pets, hey, everybody, come look at my website. No, that doesn't work that way. So anyway, I hope none of you are having a great day. I'm gonna keep that one. That one tickled me inside. And like, share, hit the bell, subscribe. Please comment. Anything. Call me a schmuck. I don't care. I love you for it. Preach. Anyway, I can't believe I just said preach. What are you even doing here? Anyway. Hey, we hit 20 minutes and 30 seconds. Have a good one, y'all.